No, I want to get
I
back to the
understand that.
wax that Ruby was talking about. Come on.
The oil wax.
Sometimes we have some intelligent people here. I don't know if they showed up today, but what about this wax thing, Ruby?
Must be off getting
Got out for
tea.
coffee already? Tea already?
Yeah, she's gone for a cuppa.
She went early.
Yeah, it's a what she was talking about was a hard wax oil.
I've tried a type of wax oil, and I used it on something like a Cocobolo or another dense figured wood, and it worked really well. But it was the only finish, and I rubbed it in and then buffed it out on something like a Beal. I was not very cool on Beal, but I was using some lapidary buffing wheels that I could pick up at the hardware store.
Yeah.
And they had tons of different grits of rouges, and some wouldn't stain. And I really got some nice finishes out of it. And they were that type of a wax, a hard wax. An oil.
I'm sure Terry from Chestnut Products over here in the UK, he does a hard wax oil, and I've got to say that it's something that I haven't used, so I don't really know what type of finish you get from it on turnings.
I found out it was very thin. It did like a really high quality oil finish, but left a much denser residue sort of that allowed you to buff it a little bit more. I liked that finish on some dense figured woods. It let the grain stand. I'm a great fan of reflective finishes and mirror finishes. I mean, I went to heaven when Trout showed me how to do that CA finish at SWAT. I mean, that was when I saw that happen. I said, "Whoa, I'm on my way." And yet, guys in a club I was in said, "But you're cheap in the material." Not if you've done it right. Not if you have the right wood. And it's all depends on the wood which you've turned. But I really think a good finish that'll let the quality of the grain pop, and that's what has to do. I always say when you walk across the room and you look at a piece and it winks at you, that's when you got a good figure and when you got a good finish. You know what I'm talking about? Duxbury's over there right now. He knows what I'm talking about. When you've done a good piece and you walk by and you say, "Whoa," when it catches your eye and winks back at you, that's a good finish. That's the wood talking to you. You can't get that off of anything else, and you won't. And that's why I like when you play with the finish, because finish doesn't come out of a bottle; it comes out of your heart. I've always thought that, and people that say, "Well, I just usually do this slap on with such and such." Right there, when you said slap on, you lost me because. There's no such thing. It's how much goes into it. How did you cut the wood? How did you scrape it to the finish? Not how you sanded it. How did you cut it and how did you scrape it? Because the blade gives you so much of a better preparation than sandpaper does. It just do an awesome finish scraping on something and then seal it. Sand it and then seal it again, and you'll see it's like night and day. The scraping will have the grains popping up and showing you and dancing at you. And I love it when you get a good piece like that. And I've got a couple of pieces in my gallery that when the boss tells me, we let some of these go, they're not leaving. They're not going. You can put them in a box with me when I leave, but no, they're not going. Those they sparkle. They just turned out.
A kid gave me his fucking error code. I did this last week.
how did they pop like that? What did you do? Well, number one, you loved the wood when you turned it and you wanted to take care of it. And I did a vase that was, it was a piece of burl, but I wasn't happy with the color of it. Don't shoot me. I wasn't happy with the color of a burl. You should get a rope in a tree and call me outside. But I had some green dye, and it was like Kelly green. But we want anything, but and I did a dye on it, and then I went back to scraping it, and I dyed it again, and I scraped it, and I dyed it again. And one of my friends in the club were here, and they said, you're getting that so green, you're killing the wood. And I said, wait till we put some oil on it. And I put some, I can't think of the product. It's Dane loves it. You use it on
Tongue oil.
tongue oil. I put tongue oil on it. I mean, it stopped traffic. It just exploded with color, and the figure came dancing out of the piece. And it was just, and this guy said, whoa, I take that back. What are you going to do with it? I said, I have no idea. All I know is it is probably the prettiest thing I've turned in a long time. And I had no way to finish that. I had to go back to the drawing board and put a finial and all on it, because I'd really turned the vase with it. I was putting a lid on it like it was going to be a urn or something. But then I had to really get into it because I couldn't let this piece of wood just float away, because it was gorgeous. But the whole thing came by preparation. If I just sanded it and put a coat of finish on it, whatever, it would have been a pretty looking burl. But you go from pretty to beautiful, that's the really want to take to the dance, the beautiful one.
Right.
And so, but
I find a lot of burls need a little bit of dye added to them to bring out the character of the wood.
Yeah.
More so than just leaving it by itself.
I did one, and I slipped up and touched it with something I had on my hands when I was explaining something to it. It was a student who was in the shop, and I had yellow. I don't know what the yellow was that I got on my glove, and I touched a rub on it. And later on, I was looking at it and said, "Oh man, I'll never get that out," and then want it out. So I got some yellow wax that I got from, I think it was from a Cindy Drozda, some buffing wax, yellow buffing wax. And I hand rubbed this into that piece. And that burl, wow. It took a couple of days for it to cure down so I could buff it out right and let it set in those cracks. But it really looked nice. And I had to develop a really good lab on what kind of wood it was. But you weren't going to hold up to doing that to a burl.
Yeah. I had a friend still have a friend down in Georgia that will take a burl. He'll do a big wide open bowl with a incorporated lid, not a lid, but a top on it. So it ends up being a hollow form, but it's all burl. And he'll put 3-4 colors of dye on that stuff. And most people say, oh, that's blasphemy. You can't do that. But it makes that burl come alive, and you have faces, you'll have all kind of figures that you can see in those colors. It's crazy looking.
Yeah, when I did this yellow one, I knew Brenda at the time, and I was in this club, and I'm thinking, it's the same thing. Look, there's an ostrich, and
Yeah.
And the guy with me says, "What do you see?" You gotta hang around the club a little bit when you start seeing these. They'll start coming out. Give us time. But sometimes you get the strangest thing when you play with it. So save the corners when you knock them off. You knock the corners off. Number one, always great, because you can always turn a little bottle cap or a piece or a stopper or a bookmark or something out of them. There's no scrap wood; they're just unturned pieces. But then you can play with the finish a little bit. So you don't go to the masterpiece that you've turned to play with your finish. You can play with a sample of it and rub something in it, play with it a little bit. And then you don't get so committed. And it's not like being prepared, but wood changes from piece to piece to piece within the same piece. So if you cut the corners off, they may not all have the same stresses and same growth rings and pressures on them. So when you start dyeing them and staining them, they're going to absorb it differently and work with it differently. And the same thing's going to happen with that bowl, like Doug just said. The guy puts different colors on it and different things happen. Well, it may not be the designer's intent, it's God's intent. He didn't make anything so set in a way that this is how it's going to be. It's growing. It's a wild piece, and gives you a lot of variety when you start putting finish on it and changing what you can do to, I don't want to say artify it or make it artistic. Just change it, blend it, get in there. A lot of times the color can help you hide a lot of sins or help you accent details that you put in.
Yeah.
Bob Moffett, I'm just Bob. I dropped a note the other day to see if we could get Bob back on since he lost his missus. He hasn't been a part of our group. But
He was
Bob did a
actually
lot
in last week a little bit.
Pardon?
Yeah,
He was in for just a few minutes last week.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see him.
He was just there for a few minutes is all.
He's a great
Yeah,
guy.
he's-
Did a lot of detailing work. It was fun to be there. And if you look at the detail work Bob Moffett used to do, and then you start taking decorative finishes. I mean, here, put this together. Put Bob Moffett and Matt Harbour in the same room together with, and what can you come out with? I mean, it's somebody.
Jim Duxbury.
I didn't even throw Duxbury
I
in
don't
there.
know about that.
I'd get a brain cramp getting that.
No, I got one tonight.
But the things you come up with when you start playing with, and that's what we do so well here. We play with the options, and nothing gets undone here, or unsaid. We have
somebody's
people
got a
come up
live
with all
mic,
kinds
double
of
mic open.
ideas and tries, and really, when I sit here at night and watch you folks, and this is a highlight of my week when I come to a club meeting. Really, it is, because I get to watch people do what I used to be able to go do every single day in the shop. And my wife says to me a couple of weeks, isn't it kind of disheartening? No, it's like being back out in the shop again. And I'm thinking, wait, don't do that. Push it a little bit more. Push it a little bit more. And I'm with you. I'm right there. I got my hands down in the stuff with you. I'm making the cuts because that's what this is about. This is about what can we go? How can we do this? And I used to tour and go to clubs and see clubs and demonstrator clubs. And I've been to some places where people say, you can't interject into the demonstration. You can't do this, you can't do that. You can put restrictions and limits. And then I thought, well, we don't do that. We sit on the tailgate and we don't restrict anything. We keep it safe and we keep it clean. And a guy got a hold of me the other day and he said, what's the number one rule in your club? And I said, it's the same one you learned when you went to kindergarten. Be nice and make a friend. And my wife says, I didn't go to
That in
kindergarten.
advertising, 1A and 1B.
Yeah. And I said, my wife didn't go to kindergarten. That's why she's hard to get along with. And she's not here. But it's, the rules work for all of us, because all I want to know is what you do. And then just like every other wood turner, I want to push it a little bit. I want to be safe, but I want to push it a little bit. And some people say, I don't do that because I don't think we have to. That's fine with me. But, you know, I'm worried about the new turner that comes in and joins us. And he sees me or you or the other guy or Bob or whoever do something stupid and we condone it. He might think that's okay. And in this club, we don't want that to go out as being okay. We want to explain to you that this can hurt you. So let's show you how okay is. And I really love that about this club. We're not afraid to hold back. We've told some people don't do that. And there are some folks that we avoid because of that. And that's just on benefit of everybody. This is meeting number 231. We've been together 231 weeks sharing these ideas. And on March 13th, we're going to get together. I said, that's 2 weeks, isn't it? No, that's next week. Next week. Yeah, get it together. Clear your calendar. Next week. And we're booking this up right now. But here's the beauty of doing a live meeting like this worldwide. We can't predict what's going to happen, and we don't want to. We're not set into a format or regimen or routine or a clock or anything like that. We run 3.5, 4 hours each week. But on March 13th, we're going to sneak into your shop and see what you've got for tips and tricks. Yeah. What do you do that makes it a little bit unique, a little bit different, a little bit better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? What do you have going on? Now, the group, the gang of the club here, this is no management group. There's no hierarchy. We have people, we call them co-hosts, because they're people who want to get involved. We've all been talking back and forth for weeks and looking for folks to come in and get involved on March 13th to share tips and tricks, because we know some of you sneaky devils have got these things in your shop and you spend time coming up with that. And every time we do this, that meeting gets played over and over and over and over again, because our master webmaster, he goes into the program, the meetings, and excerpts the demonstrations and puts them into their own little formats. Okay. He can't do that for March 13th because the whole thing is a demonstration. It's all kinds of tidbits and hints and ideas. So if you've got something in your shop and you think, why don't they show this? Why don't you come up with this kind of idea? Why don't you? Well, because you hadn't shown us yet. So that's next Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock Central Time. Well, we start at 5:30 Central. We're going to be doing tips and tricks. And we want you to get in here and share with us. Really, get in. This is the thing we repeat every once in a while, because no matter how often we do it, somebody sneaks in and does it. We wanted to call it the Great Duxbury Hour. Well, I think we have. Yeah, that was the thing. The thing was, if we did that, then we got a couple other guys going to get in. So we're not going to do that. But that's how we first met Jim Duxbury. He popped in on us a couple of years ago and said, "Oh, let me show you." And it's like he rolled his entire shop out into his den and showed us things he had, and then some. And he still keeps amazing us. And a lot of those ideas are on our website. Now, anywhere in the world you look and find out something about wood turning, and when you go to a website, there's only one website, worldwidewoodturners.org. There is only one. I don't know what those other ones are. There's only one like this. It's got every single meeting on record in that right there. It's got photographs from every member from anywhere in the world. It's got the chat from all of our meetings. It's got links to our newsletter, which, by the way, folks, is world-class and is published every other week by our own in-house editor. Joaquin does that for us. And you can contribute because we don't have any lock on the website. Get this. It's in a newsletter. It's free. You can write an article. You can put it in there. In fact, I think there's like 5 people I've seen in the audience tonight in a membership that have contributed to a newsletter. You'll see their articles in the newsletter and photographs of their work and how do they do it? Where did the jigs come from? How the rigs work and how they set them up. That all happens here. Nowhere else. It happens here. And that's all what you can be or what you can do. And it's great. This was the expansion of the club. We keep looking at how high we can go. We're not even starting to get to the peak. So we like to get more information. If you wish to be involved in the club, it's very easy. Go in a chat, tell us what you like to be involved in. Tell us what you like to do. If you got an event coming up dealing with wood turning, no matter where it's at or what it is, if it's a paid event or whatever, put it in there. Or bulletin board. My opinion, the world's greatest. All right, one of the world's greatest wood turning symposiums will be happening on August 23, 24, and 25 in Waco, Texas, called SWAT, Southwest Association of Turners. That's happening August 23, 24, 25. Hotel rooms are now being booked for SWAT. Make your plans. AAW is coming up soon. It's going to be in Portland,
Oregon.
Yeah. Oregon? Yeah.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. And get that. Boy, that's way up there in Northwest. That's up there where Ron Radcliffe lives.
Yeah. Might still be snowing.
Yeah.
3,000 miles from me.
Ron probably moved up there just to be near the seminar. But he's one of our founding members, Ron, an old Air Force buddy. Fly high. But they got a couple of things coming up, seminars like that. Now, if you got symposiums coming up in your area or IRDs that happen, you can advertise them on our programs. Yes, put it in the chat. Tell us what it is. Our webmaster grabs it because we have an events calendar on our website. You can go to the website, and if it's an event and you put it in our chat, Rhodes puts it into our website. Yeah, everything, no matter what it is.
YouTube channel, put it in the chat. We got a place on the website for your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's sharing
Your
information.
Instagram or your TikTok.
Oh, you want a member list of who's in the club and who would like to be contacted? We got that. Hey, man, our guys, there's no grass under his feet. Let me tell you, if you like to get on a contact list, I talked about chat. Go to chat and put in what you like us to have for your contact list. Oh, there's no requirements. You put your name and whatever. Your name, your address, your phone number, the guy next door's name, whatever you want. Put it in chat that you like to include in the contact list. And you'll put that in the chat and our webmaster will grab it, put it on the contact list. If you'd like a copy of the list, under contact, on our website, there's a list button. Click it, fill it out like it says, exactly like it says. The subject is Captain, CAPTAIN. I didn't pick that, Dave did. And you'll get a copy of it. It takes maybe 34 seconds to get it to you.
Capital C and Captain.
Capital C, APTAIN. That's correct. Spell it correctly. And guess it. Who's the master remembering passwords? Not me. I can't remember what my password book is. But you send that where you'll get the contact list. That's how you get a hold of the other folks that want to be involved and have you get a hold of them. Members would have the entire world listed as a member list because everybody can be part of this. It costs nothing. There's no requirements. You got to love wood turning, and everybody does. And we want to share this stuff. So that's what we do here. We have fun. We talk to people from all over the world. I mean, I got Donald in Australia tuned in right now. Doug's in Kentucky. Dane's in Arizona. I think Martin's in from the UK. Wayne's in from the UK. We got people from all over the world right now attending this meeting. For some of these folks, it's the middle of the night or past. So if you want to be part of it, if you want to show something in gallery, boom, tell us in chat that you like to show something. Our directors, the people that help us put this thing together, our co-host and our host, we read the chat during the meeting and make a list of the people who say I have something to show, and they'll run down that list and introduce you. And do us a favor, when we introduce you, start talking to us, because there's 81 buttons up on the screen, and one of them's got to start flashing a little bit yellow for them to find you and go click, and then you show up. And they're working on cell phones, so that's 81 little bitty buttons, and they got to find you. So that's how we work this thing out. I mean, right now, if I said, let's go to gallery, what do?
Well, we go to me. I start.
Oh yeah,
pulling
okay,
folks
go to
from gallery.
Dan.
Yeah,
Go to gallery.
let's go to Mr. Dan Smith here.
Just got to grab my pieces.
All right, Dan, I got you. Look at you. Still muted. All right, now we got you.
I been making some of these, and unbelievable, they've been selling quite fast.
Nice. Bill bottles?
Yep. Or whatever else you
Yeah.
want to put in it. The lid
Sewing
stays.
needles, Band-Aids.
This right here is
Ooh, pretty.
pine. So you can put me in the pine club.
Yeah.
Fiber Club. There we go.
It's a pretty piece of wood, though.
That one's pine.
Mm.
And this one, I made a mistake on, but I cut it too close to the end.
No,
Uh-oh.
it's just ventilated.
Turn it into a miniature kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Put
I'm sure Jim can tell you how.
check them out.
Just glue a marble in there.
Yeah,
Wood.
just put a finial on there.
Flat back red.
Can you make a notch on it and make a whistle out of it?
Probably could.
It could also be a toothpick holder.
Mm.
Yeah, the small pills come out first.
This one I really messed
That would
up.
have been a perfect
Oh,
salt
my.
shaker for me
Oh,
before I
wow.
quit salt.
Gracious.
But I've been making these all week and like 5 a day, and they're gone.
Mm.
Nice.
Cool.
Those are too pretty to just give up on those though. Put something in that hole and fix it.
Yeah, plug them or something.
Yeah, oh, I will. I'm gonna put flat back rhinestones in them,
There you
That'll
go.
work.
Okay,
Nice.
nice.
and all the grain matches
You
perfectly.
got a nice pop fit.
Yep. They won't come apart in your purse because I'm pulling on it pretty good right there.
Right?
So,
Wow.
and I made my handles and sharpened my little batons.
There you go.
Ooh,
Nice.
well, that red one is shiny. Nice looking handles.
And my wife's been doing her little artwork so she can put it on the side of my bowls.
There you go.
Lovely.
Things like that.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Like that one.
I do too.
That's nice.
Pretty.
Gorgeous.
Like I say, she's just been practicing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sweet.
that's nice.
Ooh,
Hey Dan,
I like
when
a
you gonna
ladybug.
when you gonna give her a seat at the table there?
Hey, she can come down anytime she wants, but you know,
I know, right? Well, she does come down anytime she wants. We already know that.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, that's all I have.
All right.
That's pretty nice though.
Busy.
Yeah.
Been busy.
Yeah, I try to stay that way. That way I keep out of trouble.
Right? Yeah. It keeps, yeah,
That doesn't work
prevents
for
you
me.
from coming down, right? All right, buddy. Thank you. All right, let's
Yep.
go to Mr. Slaughter. Dale.
Hello, everybody. I
Hey,
did
Dale.
manage to make a bowl that I embellished, like the one I was trying to do that I broke. This one I was smart and did the embellishment on the outside before I hollowed it out.
Attaboy.
Okay.
Nice.
This one's made out of maple. And it's about 6 inches by 2 inches, and it's finished with shine juice.
Very
That's
nice.
all I got this week because I had to make something for my wife. I made a cutting board, and I would show it, but I don't know where she put it. I gave it to her for her birthday, and I
It's
don't know where she hid it.
Yeah,
The other-
it's hidden away, Dale. You're not getting your hands on that
Not
anymore.
on the countertop.
I don't know where she put it in the kitchen. She buried it somewhere. The other thing
Okay.
I made for her was a miniature baseball bat to protect herself at work, and she took that to work with her tonight.
Nice.
That I made out of pine. I do have a picture on my phone of it, but that was when I was in the process of making it. My phone wasn't charged enough for me to videotape the process as I was making it. I forgot to
Uh-oh.
charge my phone that day.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll bite you every time. All right.
Yeah,
Good
I know.
stuff, Dale.
There's
Yep.
a
Thanks for
question for you in the chat.
Yeah.
Is that bowl painted or bleached?
No, that's its natural color.
That's
That's
Maple,
the
right?
maple color, just to enhance the color with the shine juice.
That's beautiful.
And the stripes were burned with a wire.
Right on. All right.
Nice.
Thanks, sir.
I
Dale.
use clear shellac, Zinsser seal coat clear shellac in my shine juice.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Right on. Thanks, Dale.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Let's go to Miss No Band-Aids.
No Band-Aids again.
No Band-Aids.
No Band-Aids. Woohoo! I am getting so good.
That's what you don't want to say that. That's when it happens.
You'll jinx yourself.
Yeah.
You can't get her on the telephone. She's told us she spends
You guys
too much
keep
time on
calling
her
me. I
phone.
can't get nothing done. I finally got one of my picture frames lasered. I put hearts all the way around it. So
Nice.
that's first. Yeah.
Thanks, Ruby.
Then we'll show you the segmented one. This is the one that Bob Grinstead gave me the measurements for. And
Yeah.
stupid me. He told me to measure, the outside of the square, right? 2.09 inches. I made it 2.9.
Oh,
Yeah.
A
Big
little bit bigger.
difference.
that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
it was bigger.
Sounds similar.
Yes. So by the time I got it small enough to go on my cold jaws, this is all I ended up with. And there's no room for the piece, to put the frame in. So
Right.
it's still in the recovery room. I'm not sure what it'll end up being now.
Hey, Brenda.
There-
But there's Bob.
I'm sorry, but there is certainly room in there for a rebate to put the frame into.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You think?
I agree,
Yeah.
Wayne.
Well, the
Take
thing is
another-
too,
Yeah,
we're not-
no,
every time I
definitely.
put it on the cold jaws like this, it pops apart.
Right,
really,
so put it
not round
put
yet
it on the cold jaws the other way around, and put it in compression fit instead of an expansion fit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't turn the outside of it then.
Yes.
Well, if it's a
You
compression
don't need to
fit,
turn the outside.
you don't need to turn the outside of it. All you need to do is cut about a 1/4 inch
Recess.
rabbet on the inside, and you got a place to put your picture in your glass or whatever.
Yeah, but see, it's not round yet.
It's not
It's what?
It's not round yet
Oh.
out here. See, I
Okay.
cut it out on the bandsaw.
Okay.
You make
Uh,
another circle to fit inside of it and glue it
Yeah, I thought about
inside of
that
it.
too.
I was gonna suggest to put it on a wider piece of board, and that you put just a sacrificial board. Glue that on there with some hot glue. Hot glue will definitely hold that on there.
And then
Oh, yeah.
turn it.
Hey,
Yep.
hey,
Really get a
Yeah, then
piece-
turn the outside.
hey, Brenda, make some jaws for your cold jaws, like I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Scott.
And to cut some more pieces, 2.09.
Just make it.
I am gonna do, that I am gonna do.
Yeah.
So the pieces that I bought for this or with this, I got it at a garage sale, bunch of pieces for $3, right? So in this $3 worth of stuff was a bunch of little strips, you know? So I put these strips together. And look at this.
Winner,
that's
winner.
beautiful.
Oh, that's nice. Oh
Nice.
my.
There's
That
no
was like a
finish on
Martin
this
Caution
yet.
knockoff.
That's
That
beautiful.
was great.
That's beautiful.
I love
really
I'm loving it.
You know, kids today won't be able to read that, right?
I know, I
A
know.
lot of
Well,
adults
you know
won't
what?
either.
It's so nice I may end up having to teach
Yeah,
myself.
right. Yeah, you got that.
Outstanding work,
That's
Brenda.
a
And
fact.
the numbers, they're just taped on there right now because I didn't want to laser it on there and then mess it all up. So I've lasered little squares and put on there,
Okay.
and they're just taped on there for now.
Oh, okay.
It's Roman numerals, and they're not all the same, so I'm going to have to redo all of them. But
You know,
You'll
put them in
figure it
order. Screw it, really mess with people. I mean, you know,
No, the,
have to have
no,
them.
Yeah,
I've got to
Roman
say
numerals can only have
the
some.
thing I like about that is from midnight to 6 o'clock, I've got no interest in. And from midday to 6 o'clock, I've got no interest in. So that is a very, very nice clock.
There
Yeah.
you go. That's a good way of looking at it.
yeah. So some of my other frames, I put some hooks on top of them.
You,
All
Yeah.
right.
There you
Smaller
go.
ones, right?
Nice.
Nice. I like
Yeah.
that.
And then today, I made lighters.
Lighter.
Okay.
Lighters. Yeah. So I got
Where-
that ambrosia maple, and I burn a line in it. And then we got this one. Same thing, I think, was ambrosia maple. Put two
Yeah.
lines in it.
Very good.
And then this one, I had to play with the what's that stuff? Doug
Resin
Miller.
Creek.
Concrete.
Resin Creek.
Yep, the
Resin
resin
Creek.
creek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And I
Colored
do the
plaster.
resin creek.
Pretty
What's
much.
that?
Colored plaster.
Love that stuff. I love that stuff. And then this one, just to show you how they're made, this is what you get when you buy the kit, right? And it goes inside, and then you put the bottom on. It screws on the bottom. This one, I drilled holes in it. Can you see them holes? Can you see the resin
Yeah.
creek?
Yeah. Yeah. I can see
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I had to put some drill some holes, put some resin
What's
creek
the,
in there. too.
what's the weight? How's the weight feel? Is it heavy in the hand?
Very
or-
light.
Yeah.
No. This one's kind of heavy. I mean, I can feel some weight to it. This one's
Yeah.
not. This one's not. This one's got some weight to it, but not a lot. I mean, they're not real heavy.
Yeah.
It's not heavy at all. And it
Yeah,
fits the
perfect
hand.
for a
you
cigar
know.
bar,
Yeah.
pipe table.
They ain't got no fluid in them
Workbench.
yet, but yeah. But these kits are on clearance right now, or on sale right now, Rockford. So
Is
I had to
that,
get
Brent,
some.
is that you?
Whoa!
is that
Somebody got a live mic.
Is that butane or is
What was that question?
Is it butane?
I still didn't hear.
Cotton?
It's not butane. I don't think it's, let me show you the bottom of it.
Lighter fluid?
Get the flint, yeah, lighter fluid.
regular lighter
Okay,
fluid.
Yeah,
Zippo.
regular lighter
Yeah.
fluid.
Get the lighter
Yeah,
fluid
it's a
in it. Comes with the
Zippo
flint.
tape.
AKA
Yeah.
denatured alcohol.
I could put denatured alcohol in there?
No, I'm just teasing. Yeah, you could,
No,
but
no,
Yeah,
no,
you
right,
can't see it. You don't want to do that.
right.
No.
I've got to ask. I've got to ask this question. Do things like that sell well in America? Because I don't think over here in the UK they would sell very well.
I didn't figure they would, but my brother smokes, and his daughter and his son and my daughter and his stepdaughter do. So I bought 5 kits just to give to them.
Yeah,
Oh, potheads will probably.
I was only asking because right, I still do smoke. I have never seen any kits like that in the UK, and with the amount of nonsense that goes on about smoking these days, I was just wondering if they would actually sell.
Well,
Yeah.
with
It might
marijuana
depend,
becoming
Wayne,
more and
on where
more
you
legal
were.
in the States.
It might depend on where you were. Like there's a part of the country, like tobacco country, that people smoke. A lot more smokers there than other places.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that might,
Yeah.
there might be some differences there.
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
too,
It was just a generalized question. That's all.
Yeah.
I can probably sell them pretty
kits-
good here in Kentucky.
Yeah,
Probably.
but it's
Yeah.
tobacco
Here's the
country.
thing, for the folks over here that don't smoke, proper tobacco, then you got everybody else is smoking weed. So there's definitely a market. There's definitely a market for it, So
Yeah,
Why did I know
wax-
you were going there with that?
yeah. That's
Well,
what I
forgot about
it's
that, dude.
true. I mean, it's legal in my state, and I
Right,
make stuff
right.
for the weed
It
market.
is in Ohio now too.
And there's nothing wrong with it. It is what it is.
It's legal in New York now, so I can make pipes and the pipe kits and lighter kits for weed.
Shoot,
It's
you need to
legal
be
in New
making
York.
those little wax spoons that I make. Those
Oh,
things are
God.
freaking money.
Here we are again. I ask a simple question and it opens up a totally full different conversation.
I tell you what, though, these
Well done,
kits,
Wayne. About lightning.
this kit said it needed a 20mm drill bit to drill the hole.
Mm-hmm.
And I used a 20mm drill bit, and the center would not go inside.
Hmm.
So I used a 21mm. It still would not go inside.
All right.
Wow.
I ended up using a 22mm.
Hmm.
So
7/8.
Yeah.
7/8.
That's what it
I
sounds
had
like.
a box of millimeter ones. So the 22mm is the one that made the big enough hole that it went in. So
This
that's
print.
all I got for tonight, I think.
I'm in the middle of a message, so
Okay.
I'll
Somebody
I'll
else
flip
had a
to the next
question or
person here in a
something I
minute.
didn't hear. Did I answer everybody's questions?
No, but you did a great job this week.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
really busy.
I stayed busy. I tried to. I love this clock. I'm telling you, I'm loving this clock.
Looks good.
And it's there's the
Now,
back of it.
I've got to say, I really do like that clock as well. It
Yes.
is absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I kind of like it
All right.
without the 1 through 5 on it.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
do. That's the way I like it.
Yeah, it just
Like it
it's
just like
something
that,
a little
huh?
different. I've seen a clock like that before, but you don't see them very often. I'm serious, Britta. I like it like that.
Brenda, did you glue the laminations? I mean, yeah. Did you laminate it yourself?
Yeah, she got those little pieces
You
from
glued it all
from the
together
yard
yourself?
sale. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not finished. So, and I've not put a finish on this yet.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
but those very
Because
nice
I've
glue
not
lines
finished
is what I was
these.
getting to.
The
Yeah, she
what?
did a good job gluing those little strips together.
Yeah,
Yes, those
very
that
nice
I
glue
did.
lines. That's great.
That I did
That's
do.
hard for people to do.
It
because,
is.
well, I bought all these little pieces. So, you know, I like had to glue them together and I didn't really want to make a cutting board. So
Right.
I thought about putting the ring around it, but that didn't quite fit and didn't look right either. So
Springboard clock.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
takes away from it. Don't put the ring on it.
yeah, so I got a clock instead. And
Looks
these
good,
here,
Brenda.
I'm engraving these,
Yeah.
lasering them. So yeah,
Right on. All right,
that's
we're
all
ready.
I got.
Thanks, Brenda. All right, let's go to Miss Claire. Hey, Ruby.
Okay, this one's for Al, some inspiration for him. I found these guys swimming in my shower.
There you
That's
go.
cool.
That is cute.
That is so cool.
Oh wow.
Very nice, Ruby.
Did you turn those back to back?
Yeah, if you turn them with either a glue paper joint in between or double-sided tape, you're okay. If you turn them solid and you put a clamp on them and cut them in half with a bandsaw, only go to about half an inch away from the end of the piece and then saw the rest with a handsaw. If you try and saw all the way through, you'll have a disaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice. Very nice.
Nicely
And the
done.
Very
ears are.
cute.
What are
And
your
earlier
ears?
I asked if anyone had had any experience with hard wax oil, and I was experimenting with it when I made my my mug stand,
Ooh.
and I found it doesn't raise the grain. Like this is just as smooth as it was when I finished sanding it, and I think I've only got a couple coats on it. I think it needs a few more, and then maybe buffing. But I figure something like that from some scrap wood would be a good thing to try out some different finishes.
You won't believe it. I made one of those about 3/4 that size for Beanie, the bird. He uses all the pegs.
Yeah.
It's the same thing though. It's identical.
Actually, I've made a number of purchases for parrots and that the people have called me to.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a secret about making a perch for a bird. What you want to do is make sure that it's not a straight, flat piece when you're done turning it. Make sure that it's got lots of curves, coves, and beads. Because if they grip on a flat surface, they'll get sores on the bottoms of their feet.
Oh man.
So you want to make sure that their feet are always on uneven surfaces.
Hmm.
Oh, man.
And Doug wanted to know what I made the ears on the hippo from. What I did, Doug, was I turned little tiny pieces of wood.
Okay.
And then before I cut them off, I took a file and I filed the front sides of each little bead flat. And then I used a Dremel to make the curve on the inside of the ears. And the hardest part is drilling into the back of the head to insert the ears at an angle.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I like how you made the log look like a pond.
Really.
Yeah.
We had an extra piece that was cut off and I didn't even get it all sanded smooth. And I airbrushed it a sky blue, but because the wood I used was quite brown in color, it went kind of a dark with different colors in it. And then I just lacquered over the top of it.
Mm.
But I
How
was
pretty.
thinking of making a few more of these, only maybe a little larger.
Great idea.
I thought
That's
that was
really cool,
epoxy.
Ruby.
Well, sometimes you have to do something whimsical and not serious.
Exactly. Exactly.
By
You
doing
know,
that,
it's kind of like, remember, we're just bigger kids.
by doing stuff
That we
like
are.
that,
That we
I mean,
are.
that could easily
Better
be
toys.
mice. That could easily be rabbits. There's
They
several
can't swim.
doing that.
Albert,
other
mice
thing you
don't
could-
swim very good.
If you do
You
mice,
could
make
take
sure you do
those
a
and
cheese wedge.
on the back side of them, you could put a little pin and make them into brooches as well.
Hey Al, you should do them with mice and make sure there's a mouse trap in there.
Well, I have a problem because when my elderly
and then you
neighbor comes over here to watch the house, if I'm gone away, the little wooden mice I leave around, they scare her.
Then you could title it, you could have your mouse, eating the cheese and the mouse trap is already sprung. And then you could say, this is, the second mouse, because the second mouse always gets the cheese.
As Heather says, these are Canadian house hippos. Okay, that's enough from me.
All right. Thanks, Ruby.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's go to Mr. Kenny.
Hello.
I got you, Tom.
Got me?
There he
we go.
is.
Two items to show tonight. One is a little tiny holoform. It's about 5 inches tall, and I think it's Bradford pear. Can't be sure.
Oh, that's nice.
Very nice.
Oh, it looks great.
And the second thing I'd like to show, Walt Wager does a lot of articles for wood turning fundamentals, and he just did one about center punches. And these things will hurt your hand, especially the heavy duty ones. So he suggests turning a little sphere and gluing it on the end. And I've done that with mine, and it really does work well.
Great
Highly
idea.
recommended. The one in the middle
Great
is
idea.
Purple Heart that I did several years ago, but the two on either side are Bradford pear also. And that's all I got tonight.
Right
Hey,
on. Thanks,
Tom, do you glue those to the ends?
I did.
Okay,
I
cool.
used while it was still on the lathe, I drilled the hole and fitted it. Had to do a little bit of scraping to fine tune it, and then mixed up a little batch of epoxy and glued them on.
Thank you.
Great idea.
Your hands will thank you.
Mhm.
Nice job.
Great idea.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to Doug.
Okay. Oh, couple of things that I've got. There we are. A couple of things I wanted to show you. Couple of the guys, so several of you know the you guys who watch all the live demos over in England. They've been talking about using ink for coloring, and I got some gold and some red the other day because I wanted to do something with it and try it out. And that's I've got the red here, and you can see, and this is on white oak. So the red there, that's just one coat of the red, and it came out beautifully. Two coats of the gold down here, and here I've got gold on top of red right there. The red's supposed to be the primer color for gold, and it looks like I need one more coat of gold on that. But it's you really can't tell a big difference, but it's coming out nice. I have to say I'm amazed at how ink, it's calligraphy ink, how it works to color wood. It's wonderful. Been a lot of talk around and about doing off-center bowls, and so I'm going to do one tomorrow on a live, and I wanted to just real quickly show you. There's the bottom. Uses a recess and a tenon, because the other main way of doing that is using a glue block and moving a glue block and whatnot. But to me, that seems like a whole lot of extra work. And so this way works really nice, or it worked very nicely for me. And so there's my top with a little bit of, got a little chatoyance in there. When this thing is spinning on the lathe, well, there you can see it, especially there at the bottom. It just flashes like new money when it comes around to that area
Yeah.
right through there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
What
Yep.
finish did you put on it, Doug?
That's got, at this point, it's got about 10 coats of lacquer. I ran into a little bit of problem. I thought I had it done and I came in and I found a run. So I kind of had to back up a little bit. So, but it's almost done. I think I need about 2 more coats to get this smooth. I'll do probably 2 more coats, then I'll put it on the buffing system and buff it out. But
That is certainly going
stunning.
to produce a lot of chat tomorrow night, Doug.
I think so.
Absolutely stunning.
But this one is this is my practice piece, and so I'm not too worried about it. It is walnut.
Oh, hang on, you practiced?
Yeah. I'm ashamed to say, yes, I did. Unlike some people we know.
Doug,
anyway.
I think you need to put a wad of yellow yarn in the middle of it, and it'll look like a deviled egg.
Oh, me.
Deviled egg.
I'll put some of my gold ink on there. How about that? But it's a piece of walnut that I've had laying around, and I grabbed it up and threw it on there, and it came out pretty fair. So I'm pleased with it.
Are you going to finish the bottom?
See, I like that, what Doug just said there. This is a piece of walnut I just had laying around.
Well, it's a wheat tree here, Wayne. It's not nobody's trying to eradicate it except for the farmers. They don't like it on their farms, in their fields. There's about 3 kinds of trees they don't like. This and cherry. They don't like cedars, unless it's on a fence line. They don't say much about elm. We don't have a lot of elm here. But yeah, in some places elm, walnut, cherry, cedar. There was something else. Oh, the pears. The pears, invasive.
The Bradford pear. The Bradford pear.
Yeah, the Bradford pear
is
yeah.
invasive. So I'm getting as much as I can so that I can turn it, because it turns wonderfully. I love to turn it. But anyway, that's what I've been working on this week, and along with some other issues that's been going on. That looked like a bad place in the finish, but it's not. It's in the wood. See that little line going across there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in the wood.
Looks like a worm.
Yeah, well,
Rounder.
I'm talking about this one. That's not in the finish. It was in the. It's a line that's in the wood right there.
Yeah,
I
I
see
see that.
It's
Hey,
kind of a
Doug.
funny thing. Yes, sir.
A piece that size offset like that, how bad did it make your lathe wobble? How low do you have to crank the speed down?
Well, I've already changed. I thought my speed was the same. When I put it offset, I could only go like 350, something like that. Had to go fairly slow because walnut's pretty heavy wood. So yeah, when I had it this way and was doing the back, and when I first turned it around and had it centered doing the front side, full speed, no problem. But when I put it offset, about 350, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I've also blocked up and made my lathe a little more solid now. Found where one of my legs was, or one of the feet was not fully on the floor. So I wedged it up now, and it's a lot more solid than it was. So I can speed it up. But anyway, that's what I've done.
All right, thanks, Doug.
Looks
Nice one,
good,
Doug.
Thanks,
Nice,
Doug.
Doug.
Looks
Thank
great.
you all.
All right, let's go to Wayne.
Oh, me. Okay, I finally go back on the lathe. I tried to do a live last Wednesday night, and the lathe decided to say, no, you're not doing that.
I remember that, Wayne.
Yeah. So I got on the lathe tonight, and I turned just a 12-inch by about 2-inch ash platter. It had a lot of bark inclusion on both sides, which is why it ended up as thin. Not a very wide base on this one, but it doesn't have a very wide dish either. So it will still be very stable for the amount you can get in there. A nice, I don't think if you can see it, it's got a nice curved rim on it. Got a nice curved rim and a bit of a bead as well. Now, the annoying thing with this, or not the annoying thing, is that when I do my lives, like I've said already, is that I do my lives for entertainment. So I have a few earworms in who
Cheers.
Easy, easy.
Yeah, who control the chat, and they get the chat joined in with what's going on. So it is more of an entertainment thing with me in the background doing some turning. Now that piece, Mark, the gentleman wood turner, said at around about 8 minutes, slow down. You've nearly finished. And
was
Huey
hilarious.
Light. And Huey Lionheart hasn't actually finished mentioning who's come into the live yet. So I slowed down, or I tried to, but that piece actually got finished in around about 35 minutes.
32.
Oh,
Not
okay,
counting.
32. Cheers, Andrew.
Come on, folks.
And so then they said, what are you going to do now? And I thought, well, do I pack in? Because like last week's live got packed in early, although I did do a giveaway. So
Wayne, you're
Lost
muted.
your volume.
What happened?
You're muted.
So let's just talk about the piece and not the live, okay?
okay, sorry, Dane.
We're carrying on too much about our lives, and it's great that for all y'all that do the lives and everything, but y'all start talking about the lives and it turns into a conversation about your lives, and that's not what our club is about, okay?
Yes, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Dane. Yeah, totally forgot about that. So people asked me to turn a second piece, so I did turn a second piece with around about 20 minutes to go, and this is it. It's an unknown piece of wood. I did have a feeling it was walnut, but I'm not too sure. But this piece is totally from the tool. There is no sanding finish on this. There's no wax finishes or anything on this piece. This is just totally from the tool, like I did earlier on this evening.
Very nice, Wayne.
And you think that's walnut?
I got the impression I had a piece of there was a piece of hardwood across here, which very much looked like walnut. This piece across here looks a little bit like walnut, but I'm really not sure. It may well be.
I know the English walnut is far different than ours. Yeah, it's
Yes. I'm
That's a
really
striking
not sure,
piece.
Dane, on what the wood is. It didn't. I've got to say, I did pick the shavings up and smell the shavings a few times. It does not smell like walnut, so I am totally unsure as to what the wood is. But
I know a guy that
Right.
would know over there,
Yeah.
Martin Pigeon. Martin Pigeon would know.
Oh, Martin Pigeon would definitely know. Oh, definitely. But the thing that I like about it is the actual finish I got just straight from the tool.
Yep, good
That's
job.
great.
No sandpaper was hurt. I like
No,
that.
no sandpaper was hurt on this piece.
Very good. Very good.
And I apologize for going on about the live.
No worries. No worries. Every now and then we get carried away. I'm guilty too.
Yeah. I always get carried away.
All right. Thanks, Wayne. All right. Let's go to Mr. Craig. Craig, we got you. You're muted.
Muted, Craig.
Okay, how's that?
Better.
Yep.
Better.
Okay, I was gonna say, I gotta thank Brenda for doing so much because I've had nothing but car trouble for the last 2 weeks. And I've only got one piece turned. I'm trying to close out this note saying the host, there we go. A friend of mine had a barn, it was about 180, 200 years old. They had to take it down. So I told her I was gonna turn some bowls of it for her and her family to remember. This was actually from a piece, it was about 2 feet long and it was so rotten and everything. This was all I was able to get out of it. But I tried to save as much of the bug damage and nail damage. Like on this side here, there's a nail hole there. This crack, I left it open. But I think it came out pretty nice.
I agree.
And like I said, this barn was close. The original barn was at least 200 years old. Then they built a barn on top of it to save the old one. But unfortunately, it
So
got.
is that pine?
I think so. But this was one of the timbers, one of the round logs, and the cut that was in there for the log and everything to sit was this part right here.
Oh,
So
cool.
I was able to keep that part of it and everything. It's about 8 wide by 6 deep, and then about 3 inches tall.
I'm sure she'll love it.
Yeah.
It's wood.
If not, you can send it to me.
I've been using my wood burner to sign, so I put on the back here Livingston barn for him also. But that's all I've got this time.
Excellent. Craig, when you're making the bottom of your bowl there, do you keep the tenon in there and the recess as a safety, or what's?
No, actually, it
help
was
me
intended.
understand. Help me understand the bottom there.
Okay, well, I didn't. I used the tenon because I didn't want to take a chance of spreading out and cracking since the wood was so old.
Okay.
But so that's what I held it with and everything, and that's why I try to do the turn. I know some people sand them off or grind them down and everything. I like to leave something different on the bottom every time. It's just the way I like to do it.
Okay. No, I was just asking.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
The
But
design
I
element.
didn't
what you-
use
what you
I
do
didn't
there.
use the recess to hold it. I used the tenon to hold it.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, if I use a recess, I usually there's nothing here except for the rings and stuff, whatever I do on the bottom to personalize it.
Right on.
All right. Thank you. But that's it.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to Mr. Burt. Billy, we got you.
Well,
You get a haircut?
Look at there.
No. It's actually looking kind of shaggy. It needs to be cut. But nobody asked you. Hush. I did.
Maybe we were asking her.
I got I got a little exaggerated last week and got egg happy. And so I decided, well, what can you do with 6 egg shapes? You can do this.
That's
cool.
That's too cool.
The ears were egg shaped. Of course, the body, the feet as well. And I used one of the techniques Ruby was talking about a while ago, brown paper between 2 flat pieces. And I turned them on the lathe until I got them the shapes that I wanted. And then I pried them apart gently and glued it all up. I would burn his little nose in.
Oh, that's cute.
What finish did you use?
The bottom. This is 4 coats of Deft lacquer.
Looks really good.
Thank you. Oh, the eyes I painted on. This is ash juniper. The tail is every piece is ash juniper. You can see the bottom, the light color on the bottom. I used that for the bottom because it seemed natural. The underside of a bunny is more light, and this is so this is the sapwood, and this is the heartwood up here.
Yeah.
Well, the tail is
Fantastic.
just an egg made out of the sapwood.
but
That's
I was just
fantastic.
playing around, and I remembered Ed said, "Let's do some bunnies." So
That is pretty.
I may be early, but there's my bunny.
That's pretty. That's real pretty.
My 40-year-old daughter, 43-year-old daughter came in the other day, and she said, she looked at the face and she said, "Oh, it's an armadillo." I realized after I had everything glued together that I probably should have made the head a little bit shorter, the nose a little more round, but I'm happy with it.
That's pretty.
I thought bunny when I seen it.
If y'all haven't seen Billy's new video, he's got one up on a teeny beanie. What's that thing you got? The recipe.
Oh, my latest cooking video. It's a little 4.5-minute video on beanie weenie tacos.
Beanie weenie tacos.
Beanie weenie tacos. And it's not what you're thinking. It's not pork and beans. It's not anything related to the beanie weenie dish other than having the frankfurters in it. But it's refried beans and in one pot, and sliced frankfurters and sliced onion and sliced jalapenos in another pot. And you
I haven't finished it yet. Don't give it away.
It's yum. It's just really good. Anyway, that's all I got.
Comfort food. All right. Thanks, Billy. Great job on the bunny.
Excellent.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Billy Bunny.
There you go.
That was funny.
Do one bill followed by another bill.
Yes, good evening, all. My wife was cleaning out her craft room and found she had a small collection of glass cylinders. And she said, I don't know whether I should throw them out or can you do something with them? And so this is what I did with them. So the base is just pine. The top is poplar stained with a bit of a walnut stain. And my granddaughter really likes it.
Very nice.
Well, may not be high art, but the top is reversible.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh,
wow. Anyway, great fun. I've shown once before, I like to do vases, and when I make vases, mostly end-term, people were having trouble thinking of what they would do, and so I started making flowers to go in vases. So this is a vase of light's not very good, but this is a Kentucky coffee tree, and the flowers are pieces of 1x2, 2x2, whatever's kicking around the shop, cherry, oak. Yeah. Another cherry.
Well done, Bill.
That's a real nice idea.
Yes.
There's another one.
Well done.
A piece of ash.
Very nice.
Another one here. This is
Another one.
a piece of a plum. So the light's not very good here, but it's got some red in it. And last of all, there is a maple, and there's some bark left in it. So the finish is usually white wine pollen, but when there's bark left in it, I use CA glue. And again, a variety of woods in the flowers. And then decorations that I stole from my wife's craft room.
Great job, my friend. Great job.
That's it for tonight.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Very nice.
We're at the top of the hour, so let's go get our safety moment with Safety Sue, and then after our safety checkup, we're going to go to our demonstration for the evening.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Let's talk safety, especially for environmental safety. Everything that we do in the shop affects our own personal environment and can also be rolled over to our family. We don't want that. First of all, you want to keep your workshop clean. After woodworking shavings and dust can be flammable and may be dangerous. Keep a fire extinguisher handy. they come in the size of rattle cans now, so it's easy to have a couple of them around, so they're just an arm length away. Let's talk about flammable fluids and rags. I know we've all talked about this before, but what happens is that when these liquids or whatever we're using dries, especially, it has to be like an oil base. You want, I don't know if you've ever felt them drying, or to even try, if you want to feel heat, put some CA glue on your finger and hit it with activator. And that's what happens. It heats up when it dries to the point of spontaneous combustion. So I normally have something in there in my shop with some water in it, and I put it in there. And then at the end of the day, I take it outside and put it over a fence to make sure that it dries completely. Some people have the red cans specifically for flammable rags and stuff, but take care of you, because that'll take care of your house and your family. Don't leave air. Don't leave
Sue,
yes.
Sue, I'm sorry. Can I just interrupt here? And there is a very good video, and I can't remember who it's by, but he has done. This guy did a video where he set out his workshop in squares with various.
I got it posted on the group Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Thanks
linseed
very
oil.
much, Dane. Yeah,
Yes.
thanks very much for that, Dane. I'll drop out now.
Well, thanks for bringing it up, though. Now we're all aware. Don't leave your tools on the lathe. They might fall off and hit you in the foot. That wouldn't be great. Or they'll fall off and you'll have to sharpen them again. Frequently move shavings from the floor while you're turning. The floor should be clean. Well, not spotless, but clean. And we don't want you to slip. Keep your work area well lit. Now, I just had 5 or 6 LED 4-foot lighting put around my shop so that I could see. Keep your work area ventilated. Whether it be shop fans, or you can open the windows, or you have a dust collection or an air cleaner. Billy had on one of his videos that he had a smoke extractor, and one of these days I'm going to ask him to tell me how he made the smoke extractor system, because that would be interesting, I think, for all of us. Who's laughing? And assure that the lathe is either bolted to the floor, securely making it fast and not flopping around your shop. You don't want vibration. So on that note, let's talk about safety. Thanks a lot, you guys. Have a great week and a safe week.
Thanks.
Right on. Thanks, Sue.
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
All right. So for tonight's demonstration, we have Mr. Kurt Kapp. He has an interesting evening planned for us. Atypical of our demonstrations, unless it's solicited by the demonstrator, please keep questions and comments about during the demonstration, so Kurt can stay focused on what he is doing, and all questions and or comments will be answered at the end of the demonstration. So this moment, I am going to mute everybody. Folks, don't be unmuting yourselves and making comments. And Kurt, after I mute everybody, you'll need to unmute yourself. So everybody's going to be muted now. Go ahead, Kurt, unmute yourself.
Good.
We got you.
Well, we got some natural wedge piece of cherry. Does have a little bit of flaw in it. Does have a crack coming across. The reason it was covered with plastic these logs have been around for a long time, but as soon as you cut these things, well, I have one, actually I had a different one that I was gonna do today, and I did not put the plastic over it, and it immediately started to crack, even though these have been around for years. But we'll work through the crack. It does go quite a ways up, so it may end up staying there. My process for doing the natural edge stuff is I want to get them in balance. So I'm going to pick on the two high points of this one. And actually, I put it on there actually pretty good. We're out about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to, my tailstock does not have the, or yeah, my live center does not have the point end. It's a one-way style live center. So I can easily move it over 1/16 of an inch if I need to. So I'll go back and check it. And we moved it the wrong way, as usual. So it's just a matter of moving it around, and then we'll make a cut, and then we'll check it again, and then we'll get because normally on most natural edge stuff, you're going to have 2 low points, 2 high points. I try and make them even as best as what I can. It's just, it makes it easier. I think Lyle Jameson talked about that at one point. That's where I sort of come up with that. And it does work. It does make life a whole lot easier. Because then you're not fighting with the out of balance part. Because that's the bottom line is the quicker it can spin, the better it is. At least to your comfort level, put it that way. So just what I did, I actually spun it a little bit ago, and I was not able to get hardly any RPMs out of it. I am out of the line of fire. I straddle my leg on my lathe. So I'm going to come in from the top. We're going to pretend this thing has actually bark on it. If it did have bark on it, you want to come in from the top, at least to get started. So that the bark doesn't yank right off. And we'll go at the speed at whatever the lathe at. You're going to be at that speed as far as cutting progression goes. If you notice the thing's not bouncing, it's not jumping around. If I try to go too fast or take too big of a cut, it's going to want to bounce.
Kurt, your audio is coming in kind of muffled.
Kind of muffled? That's the noise cancellation part. I'll try and talk less when I'm cutting.
Sound better there.
We'll stop and take a look and see where we're around there. Or actually look like I did actually a pretty good job, but I didn't cut there because them little things are not there. So I'm going to check it again on the 2 high points, and we're pretty good there. Let's see what we're at on the low points. We're off considerably on the 2 low points. So that means we need to move that low point in that direction a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch. And remember, everything's compounded by 2 when you're doing that. And there's nothing says that once we flatten off the bottom and start making a shape out of it, we can still move it because we're not locked into anything. I see a lot of people put base plates, or the worst one I see is people use a worm screw in this situation. And as far as I'm concerned, that's not a practice I would do. And the sort paper in a little bit of a go. Not a lot. You know, more so just a fridge fill up, but you know, to get kind of a big cut out there, you know, because I knew it. If I slow down and let it cut, you don't get any bumping, bouncing. Everything is nice and round, should be. Let's see whether I moved it in the right direction. Not really enough. I think we're gonna have to take more off once we start making the shape here because of these cracks. Well, let's make it one more time. Let's see if it takes. I'll take less off of there, or I moved it in the wrong direction. More off the other side. So this way, it's one more cut going in this direction, and then we'll deal with it from the bottom up. Because like I say, we're not locked into anything until we get a tenant or anything like that on it. That's completely off the end. There's our lovely cracks. Now we're right where we want to be. Our two high points are pretty much in line with one another. Our two low points are in line with one another. That means once we get this back part taken down some, then we'll be able to spin it at whatever speed you're comfortable spinning it at. So we'll go in from the back. And we can change the view of the blue line. So we'll do the double view. You see the top and the back. And then we're going to flatten out the back. And just by what I did, I was able to gain actually a couple hundred RPM easily. It's just a simple pull cut, as somebody would call it. Most people would call it. Left foot forward, right foot back, shoulder against my hip. All I'm doing is rocking back and forth with my butt. The problem with this cut is you do need to kill. The right direction, that's in your foot. Always helps when it's for the rest. It's cut. So I have a little bit left on the outside edge, but that doesn't really matter. Not very flat in at the center. I'll flatten that out just a little bit because that's where our tenant's going to go. Now we need to know which tenant we're going to use. We started at 9. We'll go to the bigger one. Because we'll probably want about 3 inches. These dividers, these are set for my chuck. Subscribing with the left leg and eyeball on the right leg. Do not let the right leg touch. We'll only do that once or twice, because we will be chasing those calibers. And hopefully it doesn't catch you on the way by. It's pretty violent. I will say that much. So now we know where our, basically where our, sort of where our foot's gonna be. So now I'm gonna go out and get rid of the corner. Is mine next step. I still actually don't have that totally true right there at the center, but on the outside, or the bottom edge here, but it doesn't really matter. And we were gonna be a good boy and turn lathe off to move the tool rest. Definitely a good idea when you're doing anything in the natural edge category. And to do so, because those edges will hurt. If I make a straight line for quite a while, and I'm right myself assured that this is probably too deep, in my opinion, for the natural edge. One of them professional turners talked about that at one point, and their opinion is that it should never be more than 50% of the diameter of the piece. And I've sort of stuck with that, because if you get them deeper, it's a little harder to get a good shape on. These guys think. We're getting closer to the top. And we know we need a tenon in there. And it's sort of, that cut right there, sort of, it's basically an unsupported cut. So it's not going to be a clean cut, but it's a very quick removal of material. Like I said, this is probably is too deep. I was using a 5/8 gouge just to make things go along a little easier, a little quicker. Now I'll switch over to a 1/2 inch gouge because it will allow me to make a tighter curve in here than the 5/8 will. And pretty much I'm trying to look up at the horizon as I'm cutting. Like I said, it's a little too deep. Now we've made it the whole way to the rims. There's a crack. It's a wormhole and a crack. I don't know that I could get rid of. Cracks in this stuff actually usually go pretty deep. So that's probably going to be a little design opportunity at some point, is what I would
Looking
say.
good.
One of the things that we can use, the cheapest tool you'll ever buy for your wood turning, is a simple hot melt glue stick. And this was Troy Grimwood, I think was his name. He's from over across the pond, and he talked about using one of them, and it'll show you very quickly what your curve looks like. And also show you where any of the lumps and bumps and all that good stuff is at. So to me, it still looks like it's too much of a straight up shot. So we're going to take it down some more. I don't hesitate to waste the wood. I would rather end up with a piece that is more appealing, at least more appealing to me. So now our curve is much more tucked into the bottom. We still have about a 3-inch foot. So that's more than enough for a foot. So if we clean it up, you can see what it looks like. Always tendency to reach up and touch that, and it's not. You only do it a couple times, because it'll come back and bite you. That maybe that could actually be a little bit smaller. I'm gonna mark the other side's tenon on it. I think that's where we're gonna go. Tenon wise, so that I can make this curve come down farther up. That's me, that's more where I want to be. So if we still want a foot out here somewhere, we take a little bit more, leave a half decent size foot. Maybe put a little bead or something on there. We'll get our shape more to what we want it to be. And I can come back and do a bevel to 40 cut, so there's no complaining. If you don't want to sand it out. Now we have a pretty much a nice clean surface. Like I say, we'll have to deal with those little cracks there. Or we could just reduce the diameter. I might just do that. It's like cherry's weird when it comes to that. It's like a grain separation rather than more of a crack. But I can show those from there. Now, of course, we can't grab a tenant out there, right? The majority of that. Couple ways we can make our tenon. I have a couple of different ways that I can do it, put it that way. I actually have a parting tool. That one demonstration they were talking about, or they were talking, there's another piece of Amazon steel. It's just a high-speed steel blank. It is, I can read it, 8 by 8 by 200, which would be in millimeters. So it's about 3/8 inch. So it makes a nice little 3/8 inch parting tool. Just round the ends or the corners over so it fits in a color, or even glue it into something. Has a very short handle one because it's not used for anything leverage wise, so I don't need a big fat handle. But it's also grounded at an angle, which is going to match the dovetail drive. So when I go into that corner now, I have a nice, clean, crisp way to grip up over it. Now we can think about one last little bit in there before we move on. I'll pull that back down a little bit. And I don't know why, but I sort of like the beads. Put a bead in there. I'm going to go in from both sides. This is a spindle guide. This is a 1/2 inch spindle guide. If I go into that corner, you got to watch because you're really going against the grain when you go into that corner. And just lift the hand, drop the handle, and roll it over. Come back to the outside, drop the handle. Basically like a slicing type of a cut. It gives you very, very nice fine shavings. The only downfall of it, some woods it can tear up in there, which it did a little bit. We can also sneak back in with our same spindle guide and basically do like a little seam scrape out from that corner. And that usually cleans it up. At least cleans it up to make it an easier sandable surface. You have to watch because sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes if you get too aggressive, it has a tendency to hair things up a little bit on the inside right there. I'm not worried that it's pointing. I'm not looking for that perfect rolled bead like you would in spindle turning, because that little hump at the top comes right off. But that's sort of my philosophy on that, and that's the beaded foot I like. Why? But I do. Put it that way. The other tool in the arsenal, if you so choose to try one and use one, you could go in here with a scraper. And if any of you are watching Richard Zappin, he is a big fan of the traditional scrapers. It's under, as he talks about, it's under my arm. It's not a giant size angle headed down. It's just a slight angle headed down. This is curved, so I can't get the whole surface or the whole blade engaged at one time. It can be very aggressive. Hopefully I don't show you that, but I can get into that corner and basically just roll it back out. And that gave me a nice clean curve. We can go right up the bowl. As he would demonstrate, you can use it as a shear scraper. Just want to work in small sections with it. Not try, and this is where it will really bite you in the ass. If you try and do this number and come the whole way up, you're almost guaranteed at some point you're going to flip it back over. Because they use it, him and there's another guy on YouTube that's a big fan of using them. They use it at a much lower angle. I'm more up at about 45 degrees. But it will give you a very pristine kind of a surface on most woods. Even pond. Actually, I've done it. I've even done it with pond, and it will actually give you a very clean surface on pond. So that's basically our outside shape done. And you see, if we had bark on here, you can see right here, it still fuzzes up that edge because we went up across it. So that's where we want to try and minimize the amount of cuts that we do up across there with bark line, have a tendency to try and tear it off. So we need to get rid of this big hunky thing in here. I'm actually going to use a parting tool. Get rid of some of it. I have to get rid of it more with the spindle grabs first. Make it easier. Now this is a parting tool. It's round just like the big sapling. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut it off, but I made a cone. That cone will easily fit inside the chuck jaws. And since it's sort of a little miniature Morris taper, that's my center point when we go to flip this, eventually flip it back around to sand and do things like that. Now I have an easy place to do it. And it does work very well, at least for me. My little knob, because they hurt on the bottom of this foot. So that's our outside done. And if you were worried about whether the four spur drive holds, it's still sitting on that four spurs, and it hasn't fallen off. So I mean, it does a good job. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of wiggling. It is pounded in with a wooden hammer on the corner of my outfit table for my tabletop. So it is pounded in quite hard. Now we can grab a chuck. We'll snap at the end, make sure that it's solidly on there. One of the other professional turners, I'm going to say it was Glenn Lucas, talked about putting the grain up and down with the chuck jaws. It gives you the best grip, the most uniform compression of the wood. And I'm not left-handed, so something to try, put it that way. It does work. Let's switch over to our longer tool list because we'll probably need it. I think we'll leave the cameras right where they're at. I make a little bit more sense. You'll be able to see a lot of people that I see do things. They don't necessarily understand that the tool has to swing no matter what you're doing. So this will make a swing. And you'll be able to see what I'm doing swing wise. I'm going to start with the 5/8 gouge just to make it go a little quicker. Oh, I changed something. I slowed the speed way down.
Kurt,
Now
don't rush yourself. You got plenty of time, so don't rush yourself.
I'm not rushing. So we're going to bring the speed up. not gonna let me get to where I would like to get to right just yet. Because we still have some clumps and lumps in there. I'm basically gonna sort of drill a hole down the middle. It's really close for the 5/8 there. This is a 40-degree gouge as well. I don't pick the gouge up and reposition. I come right back up on the bevel. The flute's closed, but I stay on the bevel the whole way up, move over a little bit, pick up the cut, open the flute, and continue the amp. Pull this size, I'm going to go down probably 1.5 to 2 inches straight in the middle, just so I have a little bit more room to move. I have to be a little careful on the entry because it's still not round. I'm going to stop short of the last cut, leave myself a step. This is really fun when it's green wood because you can literally fly through this side. You don't have to go slow. You stop short each time. Now we've gotten rid of the middle. I could have, should have switched belts. You won't be able to hear it. The motor sounds like it's going to out of state. But it also made my cut, my entry cut and the cut in general, much easier. As it would have been by cut. Now that I'm about 3/4 of an inch or something like that from the outside edge, I'm going to sort of reposition my body a little bit. My right hip is up against the side of the lathe. What I'm doing is looking at left eye on the left side, right eye on the right side. Because once the tool is in there and cutting, I don't need to see what the tool is doing. We know it's cutting. I don't need to see the cutting edge. I need to see the shape. More importantly, what the wall thickness looks like as I go down. Because right now we can see it. We used to be able to see it on the cameras as well. Now basically I'm looking through the air gap at the tool. So then we have to determine how thick, how thin we want to go. We're about half an inch. To me, that would be a little bit thick for a natural edge. Myself. And there I will actually go back to my half-inch gouge. Still using the 40-degree grind on that. The 40-degree makes it a little bit easier up on the wings some days. Back in finally, find where it's going to cut. As I'm doing is moving the handle away as I see and come out, move over. Make a very nice, deliberate cut. Nice and slow. Because now I want a clean cut. And not run into the wall of wood at the bottom. And now we can take, if this was wet wood, when I do these in wet wood, I actually get the calipers out and set them so that they're about somewhere about a 16th or so thicker than the material, and I measure them the whole way down. That's my method of being successful on getting them to dry without cracking, at least cracking as much. And now we have the wings done. Now it's just a plain old bowl. There's no real rocket science on the rest of it. I can bring my tool rest in if it makes you feel better. And we'll just continue on straight down. Now, if we want to keep our right side of our gouge sharp, or if we want more clean cut out of that, we can use the left side. And I'm following the same step I already made. But we got then we got to do something a little different. Now you can see with exception, it makes it very, very easy because all I'm doing is from the half that and closing it through, dropping over that way, and doing it one way to pick up the top and keep on going. Also makes it get in. So that's good for you. So when we get back out, close to the outside edge, then we're going to have to start to put the tip to it so onto the next face again. We still want to look at our profile on the outside. Chances are I probably want to wear crooked. Remember, we only go at the speed that it will allow us to go. You wouldn't have been able to hear it because the noise canceling cancels it out, but it was starting to give me a little bit of a chatter, a little bit of a squeal because I was trying to push it too hard. But relatively even thickness wise, I also left a ridge right there. So at that point, I'm going to come back up here. We know the ridge is back up in here, right about there. We'll come back up. Very light tool presentation. These are back. Pick up that shot. We'll go back down to the center. And then we'll stop and give it a feel and see how we did. We didn't do the world's greatest, but it's a sandable finish. The main thing is there's no torn grain. We don't have any grain that's pulled out or anything like that. So that's, to me, that's the main part. The little humps and lumps we can sand out. And in a piece like this, won't even worry about it because I'm going to have to do something with either leave those wormholes there, which may or may not. The only reason I don't necessarily like leaving some of the round wormholes are not too bad, but like this one here, that's like oblong. That edge, once you sand it, that edge stays sharp. You almost want to go back and do something with it, as far as at least sanding it off or something like that. That's just kind of my opinion of it. From here down, I can stay with my 1/2 inch gouge for quite a ways. Just brought the tool rest in a little bit further. I like using my 1/2 inch gouges better. I'm not a fan of the big heavy gouges. Basically, another rinse and repeat. We're going to go right back to the side. We're going to drill out some more of the filler. We'll take it down and stage it. I was looking at our outside profile for what we're doing on the inside too. But here's really a good place to keep saying I'm going straight, when I really need to be serving. I'm going to stop and have a feel. We could measure it with calipers too, if you wanted, if you're so minded. When the wood's dry enough, I'm not really that worried about the thickness there. So it feels like I'm getting a little bit thicker as we go down, which is the way to be. But if you get thin going down there, then it becomes a bit of a challenge. And this might pick up in the spot. I'm going to back up. I want to touch that right there. Here's where you get in trouble with the 40-degree gouge. Those people that are such fans of as they would call it, a 40 gouge. Mine are probably swept back more than 40 degrees. I grind out on a Wolverine jig, which if you're interested, I can show you that. But what happens is when I'm on the bevel, you can see there's only about a 1/2 inch space between the tool and the wing. So that's where you can get into a bit of a problem. Still feels okay. It could be refined a little bit, but we can always do that in a bit. So now I'll go back to my 60-degree gouge so that I don't sound totally like a tool junkie, but I kind of am. But here's a place you could use, if you have one, you could use the bottom bowl gouge. I can actually show you what that looks like. So I do have one. Actually, I have two. I do have the big one. This is the big one from Thompson. This is a 3/4 inch bar bowl gouge in the bottom bowl gouge. Bottom bowl gouge, it's really almost a traditional gouge. That's really all it is. It's pretty much straight up and down. The wings are not swept back at all. And I will be cutting from center to the left, not onto the right. If I roll this over like you would your normal gouge, this thing will grab like crazy because it wants to continue to roll it over. This thing is used pretty much flute straight up and down. It can be challenging to pick up cuts. The steps help you again in this place. And it doesn't do a real good job cleaning the tip out of the flute as well. But it does a wonderful job on the bottom. That I will do. You have to be a little bit careful using them because they are very quick about how much material they will take off. But I know I need more out of the bottom, so and I have a foot down there. I certainly wouldn't necessarily say you need to run out and buy one, but they are very expensive. They are expensive, and you really don't use them that much. Especially for the amount of money they're paying. Probably one of the harder things to get used to using it is the mentality that we don't need to swing the handle as much with it, but we do. I mean, we start up here and that handle is going to come almost the whole way back around to the side to stay on the bevel the whole way through. The hardest part of using them is to come back up here and pick up that little cut. The only reason I stopped there, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting carried away. All right. You have to put your handle away so that it picks up the cut up there. So we pick that cut up, and now the handle has to come towards me rather quickly. You should be able to go right straight through the center. If I leave a little nub in the center, that's fine. I'd rather have the nub sticking up than a divot. Or tear the center part out is the worst case scenario. But that is one thing about them. That is a very, very smooth finish right off the tool. That makes your sanding life a whole lot easier down in there. But like I say, is it worth the $200+ for one tool? Because you have to almost have to buy his handle because it is a 3/4 inch bar. I did not plan on buying that handle from him. I planned on making my own. But nobody has a cullet or one of these insert pieces in a 3/4 inch. So if our shape is not what we want, we can go to a scraper. This one here is a negative rake. Very short top bevel. I couldn't even answer what the bevel was on the bottom. It's really kind of irrelevant, in my opinion. This one is going to get, I don't use it that terribly much. It'll probably take forever. I will make it once I get this one back, I will no longer grind anything on the top of this one. I will just continue to grind the bottom until I get it back to where it's a traditional scraper. I actually have a piece of steel that I'm working on right now to actually make a traditional scraper for the inside. Like I say, once you get past the fear of using them, I'll put it that way, the fear of using it, they really do a nice job. So this is just a matter of, I'm going to clean up some of this stuff because I have some little bumps and lumps in here. I will not be able to come back up to the wings. I'll only be able to do right there, it's starting to chatter. I'm just trying to make my curve even. Nice little wispy shaving means that it should, keyword should, have given us a very clean surface in there. And it did not, which is not, to me, is not unusual. It likes to, it's not really tearing the end grain, but it's standing it up. So what I do with that is I've used, now I'm feeling with my fingers. I don't need to look in there with my eyes. Use your fingers. Your fingers tell you more than anything else. Run your fingers down. Does it feel like a nice smooth curve? Is there lots of lumps and bumps? That kind of thing. There's a lump way up here. I'm going to go after these couple lumps and bumps. Very gentle. This is not a bulk removing tool. It's just a finishing tool. Our bottom curve is not exactly what I want it to be. This will make the curve for me much easier. Right from center. If I go underneath the center point, come up and lift the handle a little bit. Goes right up to the center. And we'll come up around. And then we have to determine whether that is a smooth enough sandable surface for us. If it's not, which it usually, for me, it usually isn't, because right here is torn grain. It's not, I shouldn't say torn grain. It's standing it up right there. Is that sandable? Yeah, probably. But if we would take we could use either the bottom bow gouge. We could use a traditional gouge. 60-degree one. It's in the chips. I have one. This is actually an old Sorby one. It's the same grind. It's freshly sharpened. It hasn't been used at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up here where we were at. I can see the line where I scraped. So if I go in and make a nice little 16th of an inch cut, something like that. The only tool pressure is down on the rest. It's going to give me a lot of overhang on the tool, but as long as we're gentle and make sure we stay on the level. Oh no, it's not going to let me. This one's not going to let me go the whole way to the center. The Thompson one will, because it doesn't have flex. Now we've cleaned up our torn grain that we had. Where did I put it? I'll just switch over to the Thompson one. I can bring, a lot of people would say, well, why don't you bring your tool rest in further? But it doesn't really matter because in order for me to be on the bevel, I'm back here on the tool rest. So I have 4.5 inches of tool hanging over. The other thing we could do would be use the heavier gouge. That'll allow us, the 5/8 bar will allow the overhang without any issue. What we want to do is just last a little bit. It may still even shatters a little bit because of the overhang. We just have to be very gentle and leave that little nub in the bottom. And 9 times out of 10, I leave that nub right like it is there. It's probably sticking up a 1/16 of an inch. I also got some beautiful little spiral marks because it was chattering a little bit because the tool's not as sharp as it could be. But they'll stand out pretty easily. But that's pretty much it for the cutting part. Anybody have any questions on that?
Anyone have any questions on the cutting process?
It's a negative rake scraper.
What is it?
A negative rake scraper.
Yes. A negative rake scraper is a double bevel scraper. Let's do this. Let me pick one that will really show the difference. So if I go up on top of my bowl, on this side, the silver one is what they would consider a traditional scraper. They both have a burr on them. The burr is really what does most of the cutting. This one has to be pitched at a negative angle. The angle of contact between this and the wood has to be less than 90 degrees. Not a lot less, but it has to be less. If it comes back to being flat, or really worse, if you would be not paying attention and tilt it upwards a little bit, whatever this bevel angle is how deep it's going to grab and dig in before it releases. And it is violent. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I actually, when I started playing with it, I had a little block of maple, and it was actually end grain to go with it. And I was just playing around with it and seeing what it would do. When I dropped the handle to where it decided that that's no longer what it wanted to do, it shoved it forward, took the little piece out of the 2-inch draws and threw it over my shoulder. Didn't break the tenon, but it yanked it out of the chuck. Where the negative rake, many different configurations, tons of different configurations. This one is ground the same on both sides, to me, which is probably the easier ones to do, because you don't need to. I don't want to set the platform 3 times or 2 times to do the same thing. Whichever side you need it to be, the bevel one is which side you would grind. As you can see, this one is very long on the bottom side because I just grind that until this gets back to where it's short, and then I'll regrind the top, because it really doesn't matter whether the cutting edge is in the center of the tool or not. These are very, very forgiving. They don't grab. Certain woods they like better than others. The harder the wood, the better a scraper will do. Put it that way, especially the negative rake. And they can be in all kinds of shapes and sizes. I have one that looks like a skew, which is an old skew. So it's curved. You don't want one, like I say, I'll pick on Richard Rappin. If you're watching any of his videos or some other people that use a bunch of the traditional scrapers, and they pick up one that says it's a square end scraper, it's generally not square because they are too aggressive. Once again, Amazon steel. That's Amazon steel there, and that big one, that means 8 by 30, same 200. These take a fair amount of work because this has a tang on it. So the tang is ground on the grinder. Same way with this one here. This one's sort of a specialty one for me. This is the one I use to do my recess on the lanterns. Pretty much all I use this one for. I would use it for box making as well, but it will go in. You set this so that it's above center, so that the only point that comes in contact with the wood is this top point. This one actually has it relieved as well. So it actually has a cutting edge the whole way down it. This one can be used on center. And that's all I wanted it for, was to do the recess on these little guys and a lidded box. It's also curved. It's curved from this point there to the right side of it, so that as I go into the bottom of a box or something like that, we don't get 3/4, because it's 3/4 of an inch wide. If that's square and you get 3/4 of an inch going into the end of something, it's very aggressive. It's more than what you can handle, because you won't be ready for it. So that's why they're almost all them guys that are used, like Richard and that Thomas something or other. They're all curved a little bit, so that you don't get a huge amount of contact in one little place. Does that explain what the difference is?
Great explanation.
I mean, some people swear by the negative rake, but as you saw on the inside of this bowl, it doesn't always do what you think it should do.
Right. You ever find sometimes on the bottom of the bowl, especially where you got that transition with the side grain to primarily end grain on that wall transition, that you need to reverse the lathe direction to get a better cut and cut off the opposite wall going against the grain?
Never done that.
No.
I've never done that. It's 60-degree gouges. As far as I'm concerned, they do all right in there. You just have to be a little less aggressive in there. Certainly the bottom bowl gouges work for that. Maybe you have here's the original one I did. This is a 5/8 inch Sorby, and these work really well for the bottom bowl gouge. The bottom bowl gouges want to be a U-shaped flute rather than a V. So it only has a cutting bevel on it less than 1/8 of an inch, but it's pretty much right at 60 degrees. And the very top little corner of that is knocked back, because there again, I'm coming in the same way and going around that corner. These do make it, that's that little transition point from where it's going side grain, some side grain to almost pure end grain. So yeah,
they're
that's
very
what I do with
beneficial
them.
for the bottom. Hey, Kurt, there's a question on how you raise the burr on your negative rakes.
Grinder? On the
How
negative
you
rake?
rake? Yeah, how you put the burr on your negative rake? There was a question.
It's ground on there for those.
Straight up ground, okay. So
Yeah,
no
it's ground on
burnishing
there.
tool or honer.
No. If I'm in a hurry, these are all sharp. I just sharpened all them today.
Right.
Let me show you on the. Let's do something. I'll show you something that. There again, Mr. Raffin talked about. So for that, if I was going to finish it right then and there, I would actually sand the inside of that before I flipped it back around. Actually, probably if I was doing it as a non-demonstration, I would have probably already would have sanded the outside before I flipped it around. It would just make it a little easier. But we can play around a little bit with the scrapers.
Hey, real quick, everyone, I got to booger out for a couple minutes here to take care of the insulin shot for the cat. So, Kurt, you carry on, and Scott Tig or Captain Eddie, if you guys could take over emceeing while I'm away. I should be back in time by the time Kurt's finishing up here. If not, you guys could handle those duties while I'm away. I'll be right back.
Okay, let's start with the negative rake. Like I say, this particular one this is actually an old Freud tool. I'd hate to, Well, I can tell you about how old they were. I bought these when I was about 18 or 19 years old. They came as a set. I don't really like it as a skew. For one, it's not quite the quality of steel. I want to be cutting on center with the negative rake. We don't want to be below center with them. So now we've reversed this, and you see where the little, let's go just quickly on that. Let me go back to straight up overhead. So that gave me almost a perfect center point just by that little paper on there. So theoretically, this should run true. I said theoretically. It don't necessarily run perfectly true, but it's true enough for what we're going to do. So the negative rake is going to go in perfectly flat. Once again, it's a curved edge, so I can move the handle all over the place. And I'm only going to contact one little area of the tool. I'm not going to go very far up because that's really where it'll actually be out around that.
Hey, Cap, this is Sue. And I think what the question really was, when you raise the burr on the negative rake, do you do it from the bottom angle or from the top angle?
The bottom.
Okay, thank you.
Because it could be used in either fashion. Well, that would be, this one could be used either going in that direction, or it could be used going in that direction. If you had a purpose for it to be swept in that direction, then you would just take it over to the grinder and grind that burr onto the top. Same way with, that one there is round, so you could use it either way. Whichever side the burr is on, the burr is what you would need up.
All right, well then I think answers all the questions on how you put the burr on from the top of the burr. So thank you.
And for the negative rake, I grind them on. For the traditional one, okay, sure, because I know what I do with that. For the traditional one, it doesn't raise a really big burr. When you get the longer angles on them, it actually raises quite a big burr. But on the traditional style one, you would take the burr off of the top surface. This is just a diamond hone. So I'm going to take that burr away. Now it's perfectly smooth. Now we can go on the underside of it, line up our bevel so closely, and we'll do little circles across here. And we're going to raise just a very, very, very small little like micro burr. And you can feel it. And the camera probably won't pick it up. It leaves a little shiny edge right at the top. That is a very fine burr that actually cuts. It actually cuts, to me, it cuts better than the big heavy burr that you would use for like the negative rake. Because everybody that preaches the negative rake talks about when the burr is gone, they don't cut. And that's true to a point. They don't cut as well. So that cleaned up, because see there, that negative rake wants to pick up the end grain on the cherry as well. This is not a very good demonstration of that because it's not totally round in there. So if I get it back to round, I can go up, and I can say once again, I can go up on its edge, and now I'm literally slicing the wood with it. I'm only going to go in little areas because it's just as easily making little dips and valleys and everything else. That will give you a finish. You a little bit of practice with it and a little bit of patience with it. You could probably start sanding that at least 180, if not 220. If you were taking lots of time to do that, there's a bunch of this stuff up here that's torn. But it's like I say, it's very gentle. It's also not going to like where it's not round. It will make the scrapers bend. The other really good use for the scrapers is any of the resins. You do anything, I shouldn't say any of the resins. I do some stuff with the urethane resins, the Alumilite, Clear Slow, and things like that. They like a sharp edge tool. So if I'm going to use, get a smaller one. I have a couple different ones that I have. So we go down to a smaller size like that in the scraper. This is a negative rake scraper. It's double beveled. That's all it is with the negative rake. It can be a multitude of different designs. Some of it's manufacturers. The one on this side, the silver one, is made by D-Way, has a Boxmaster tool name on it. This has a long top bevel and a shorter nose bevel. He feels that it does a better job. This tool does cut very well, but it's also, I want to call it, a little bit more troublesome because you're going to grind this maybe 1/8 of an inch back here, and all of a sudden you're starting to lose this top sweep on this, and then you got to go back and regrind that, and it's a very, very long angle to grind, so it serves its purpose. But if you're going to use a negative rake scraper or a skew works really well on the resins, or even more so just the resins. That would be something like that. This will be a handle for a bottle opener. So this has box elder burl that has been dye stabilized, and then this is the Alumilite clear. This is where the scrapers really come into play. This one maybe not quite as much, but the more resin there is, the better these like it. The better results you get on the resin. For a lot of the people that do resin use the carbide tools, and they swear that's the only thing that'll cut them, that cut the resin. But if I was going to cut resin with that, this one has a tiny little bit of a burr on there. This is how I would touch up my skew as well. I'll lay it on there, put the bevel down. I'm going to run it across once or twice. Now I have a shiny little silver line. I can go to the other side and do the same thing. And now I have basically a very sharp edge tool. So that right there cuts any of the resin products very, very well. And it's a non-aggressive tool. But that would be another use for the negative rake scrapers.
What is the piece you have in your chuck?
That is a made by Rubber Chucky.
Is that Rubber Chucky?
Yes.
Soft cut.
I was trying to think of the name of it. Yeah, that's one of them Rubber Chucky ones. I was given that. That's the only reason I have it. I'd be quite honest with you. Myself, I actually prefer the ones that I've made. I've made some using the resin. This is just a piece of blue felt. You make these any size you want. The wonders of doing it with a resin is that it never moves. It's just as true as the day that I put it on there on the chuck and made it true. And you turn it, you turn that. See if the get the tape out of the road a little bit. I don't want to grab a hold of that. So I can show you what the, I'll show you. Come on, there it goes. We did tighten it. So if you're somebody that likes to play around, and there again, if you like to make pens and you want to do pens with the acrylic stuff, once it's round, I wouldn't use a scraper on it before it's round, because it may chip it. But there's our negative rake scraper that I just showed you that we took the burr off of it. If the burr is on it, what happens is the resin sort of wraps around that little burr and it doesn't like to cut as cleanly. But once the burr is gone, and like I say, once or twice across the hone, and now we have I run my finger across and no burr on the bottom, no burr on the top. And if we go into our resin piece, there's something sticking out. I don't want the piece of tape that's on there. There we go. I know what would happen to a piece of tape, other than sticking my finger. So it's very, very forgiving. Gentle touch. Got to be a very gentle because I don't have a handle in it. One. But as you can see, it does a wonderful job on any of the resin products.
Peels right off.
And it's very smooth. So that's one of the other things I would use the negative rake scrapers for. But I'll be quite honest with you, I'm leaning more towards, I use the traditional scraper more than anything because I feel that it gives me a better cut than the negative rake does. But I don't have one for the inside of the bowl yet.
Gotta agree.
Somebody asked on the chat, and I second this. We'd like to see your drawers on the underneath your bedway there.
What do you mean my drawers?
Look at y'all wanting to get in his
Cabinet?
drawers. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, my God, you want to get in my
cabinet?
drawers? Oh, geez.
Oh, there,
Well, now
Ain't bought dinner yet.
now you're really pushing it.
Right?
What do you want to see? Well, let me get something out of the road here. Well,
Is that a cabinet you've got under there, or?
yes, ma'am. That is a cabinet. Let me switch scenes so that I
Okay.
don't make you totally dizzy, and I'll move that camera overhead. Let me
Oh, that's
go
good. I got a
to-
6-pack, so I'm good. Take me on a ride.
Oh shit! You got to hit the right button first. There we go.
Did you make this cabinet?
Yes.
Okay.
Brenda's looking for ideas because she's got the same lathe. Right, Brenda?
Well, maybe.
Yeah, well.
So I got that looking down about as far as I can get it. Yes, this is a cabinet. I made that. My background really is in woodworking more so than the turning. I've been turning for about 17 years now. But yes, this is a cabinet because if you have this Laguna 1836, when I first got it, I went to Home Depot. I'm like, they have a tool cabinet over there that's just about the right size. And when you start measuring it and you measure between your legs, it's like, man, that's awful close. So I'm like, well, I'll just make my own. So it has the black foam in it. This one's a little disorganized. This is the handle drawer, plus extra tools that haven't been even used yet. Because I have a tendency when I go somewhere, I like the Thompson tools, and if I'm somewhere he is, and I'm gonna need something in the next couple months or whatever, I get it while I'm there. So that's handles. This is kind of like miscellaneous stuff, chuck jaws, some drill bits, things like that. On a good day, it actually can look organized. Like I said, on a good day. Chuck stay in a drawer, the buffing stuff, which will be out of your sight, it's in this little blue tub back here. I have 3 VM120s and 1 VM100, and there's an old Nova chuck that never sees the light of day. The very bottom drawer actually has the vacuum. It should have the vacuum pump in there, but it very seldom ever gets it in there. Vacuum chucks. These are aluminum ones. I had a weak moment and bought them, but they are nice. I will give it that.
So how big is the tabletop on the top of that cabinet then? And it goes directly underneath your bedway?
Mm-hmm. Yes. In my case, in my little shop here, I have a concrete wall right in front of me. So the question is, how deep is the cabinet? Well, the drawers, the drawer boxes themselves are like 21 inches deep. Full extension slides. I think they were over travel slides. And the top goes the whole way back to the back, and the top is about 25 inches deep. It goes completely against the wall. So none of my chips, which is kind of a downfall in one aspect, but a blessing in the other aspect, all the chips that I just made tonight are still on this tabletop. So in some aspects, it actually makes it easier to clean up because I don't have to go, I have a pile at my feet and a pile on the table. But it is completely drawers.
Place to store it.
Right. It is completely drawers. So you have the tool drawer. And let me see, I can move it over a little bit. Like I say, I'm a bit of a junkie when it comes to tools. I've been playing around making some of these tools, some of the scrapers. See your bowl gouges, spindle gouges. I do have the set of D-Way beading tools, which are a lot of fun to play with. The tool rests live in a drawer. There's actually our drive center, 4 different tool rests. You have sanding stuff. If anybody wanted to try inertia sanders, you can make your own. They're actually very simple to make, and they don't cost an arm and a leg to make. So sandpaper, all well organized. These are all packs of sandpaper, sheet sandpaper. Hollowing tools, some other miscellaneous stuff. The very bottom drawer is all.
What was that? 5 drawers?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawers on the right and 4 drawers on the left.
Wow.
Those are
Gary
nice.
Hales wants to know if you could send photos to the editor of your cabinet.
Sure.
Great.
Do the inertial sanders heads turn or they are solid?
Yeah, they turn, they spin. They spin. Put this back on, I'll show you how they work. That's kind of a Ruby Lopez design right there. I went down and took a class with him several years ago. He actually gave me one. He said, "Now you can go home and make the rest of them," because he has a whole set of them. So he doesn't pull the sandpaper off. He just uses a different one.
You're gonna need to adjust your camera again.
Yeah, I guess I would, because I just about knocked it silly with my head.
We've seen enough of your drawers.
Okay.
Brenda.
Thanks, Gary, for letting me be the one to ask that. Gary's the one that asked it first
It was
in the
easy
chat.
to do.
Okay.
You know, well, Gary set you up. You got to watch
Yeah,
them
he
boys
did.
from Alabama.
I'll fall for it every time.
So, like I say, I have a set of them. So I have 120 through 400, I think it is, one on each end. They will stand in either forward or reverse. They're kind of different to get a feel for where you need to actually hold to get them to spin. And depending on where it touches as to which direction it will spin, like if it's over here, it's almost spinning with the rotation of the lathe. Whereas on the other side, it's spinning against it. They're not real good for natural edge, though, I can tell you that. The other thing when I sand this stuff like this, it's almost always spun in reverse. Mainly because my dust collection chute is right there and it goes in better. But it's almost easier with the inertia sanders to go in reverse. And you also sand a little bit faster on speed because it takes speed to make them spin.
What speed are you turning at then?
That's about 775 RPMs right there, which is really too fast for sanding for the most part, but the inertia ones allow you to get away with it. Like I say, these are actually pretty easy to make. It is a skateboard bearing inside. Trying to think what size the bolt is. Not 5/8, 5/16 maybe. The bolt's basically about the same size as the hole inside of it. So you drill a hole. These are actually made out of some PVC decking. Drill a hole for the bearing. You got to drill another hole for the head of the bolt. It has two nuts and there's a washer in there. You put a couple little screws around the bearing to hold the bearing in place. Put like a jam nut there, coming through to a top, basically another nut. This is just PVC conduit, electrical conduit. You buy a 10-foot section of that for like $5. It's very cheap. And you can bend it to whatever shape you want. You just take a heat gun. I used a heat gun. I guess you could use a torch too. Heat it up, squeeze it together in between in a vise, in a wood vise or something like that. And then you can bend it to whatever shape you want. Turn these so they're nice and true. It has a piece of foam on it. And that's just foam. I think that's actually even craft store foam. It's the 1/4-inch foam. And then get some good quality Velcro for them and stick that fast. Like I say, I don't use them that much. They're a little bit slower. I'm more interested in getting things done a little quicker than what they do. And there are self-closing drawer slides too.
Nice.
They're soft close, I should say.
Well done, Kurt.
Any other questions?
Anybody else got any questions, comments?
Not me. I'm done.
No, great demo though. Very good.
Good job. Good job.
I look forward to seeing the finished product. You going to fill those bug holes and throw some dye on there?
I will not put any dye on there. This is cherry. It doesn't need any dye.
Oh, okay.
The bug holes, I don't know. I don't. I probably will. Just because I like to play with this stuff. I will probably use the turquoise powder stuff and fill them maybe.
Yeah.
It needs a little bit of something.
Look forward to seeing the finished product.
Oh, while you're talking about finished product, I can show you. Although they're still not finished. There is the blue one from a couple weeks ago.
Oh my
goodness.
That has its
That
couple
came out
coats
well.
of lacquer on the inside or the outside. Inside has been hollowed out, finished with 3408 on the inside. It just needs a tenant removed. And we were playing that night with some of the green. There is a green
Yeah.
one.
That was, they were both ash, right?
Yes, they're both ash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It really took that wax really well.
And it's been hollowed out.
Beautiful.
There again, it needs the tenants taken off of it. The other one was, I'm terrible with names, but the one guy, and I think he's on here tonight, I think it's Billy, said about this gilding polish stuff that his wife was using, that she got at the craft or the scrapbooking places.
Yeah, that was Scott Tig.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Okay.
Scott Tig.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna vote this one as being a no. It is red.
Uh-oh.
I got a red one. But it gives you absolutely no time to do anything with it. You wipe a little bit on and any of the waxes, I go back and I can wipe the majority of it back off, where this one is actually almost dry instantly. So that's kind of a work in progress to see what it will work with. You get one more.
Kurt, that's because it's alcohol based.
It's not alcohol based.
Well, it dries like alcohol based.
Alcohol doesn't cut it. I tried to wipe it back off. It says wash sponge and hands after use with warm soapy water. So it's water based of some sort.
Try a wet paper towel.
I did that too. That's what I was working with this evening earlier with it. And I'm like, you can get it done with a wet paper towel, but it's a whole lot more work than the waxes are.
Yeah.
The other one that we did that night was the purple one.
Yeah,
I did a purple lid to match, or what I thought matched. Actually, it's sitting here. And my wife says, no.
No, it don't match.
Nope.
No, it doesn't match at all.
It doesn't go together. I'm like,
Right.
okay. She says, there it is, plain black.
Okay.
And she's like, if you want to do something, put a knob on there or something else that's purple. I said, okay.
I know how that feels.
Right? Yeah, amen.
Well, you got to have a good critic. Although, they're not always right either. So.
True. You just never say it in front of them.
Right.
That's why we have a shop.
Yeah.
Are you going to make it black and shiny, or are you going to leave it dull?
You're going to shine it up.
Are you going to make it black shiny, or are you going to leave it dull?
No, I'm going to make it shiny. That has 3408 on it. It just hasn't got buffed yet.
Okay.
It'll shine. I don't.
Because it doesn't work right now.
We don't do matte.
Yeah, I don't. That's a really good question. Maybe I'll have to go ask the critic. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, to do it matte, it probably would look all right matte, but I don't know.
Wrong color combos for it to be matte.
Yeah, because the rest of it's shiny.
Yeah.
I mean, if the whole thing was matte, it would be different.
I agree.
But that's it.
I think most of us agree, don't we?
Yeah. Anybody on here from the Houston, Georgia area? I'm gonna be down there next week.
Craig's from Georgia. Craig, speak up.
The only thing I know down there is Peachtree woodworking, but I'll find something to do.
Oh, there's Mark Soleil down there.
Yeah. I don't have all day. No offense.
Hey, could I make one short remark about his bowl demonstration?
Yes.
He mentioned when he was down in the bottom of the bowl that his tool was extended too far over the tool rest. Well, I'm one of the only people that teach my students, you always put the left side of the tool rest down inside the bowl when you get to the transition point. And I don't want them, any student mind to have their tool extending more than about 1.5 inches away from the wood. That way you have total control. You eliminate all the vibration and everything else. So all you got to do is turn the left side down there, and then you don't have any tools extending way out over the tool rest. And most people don't do the safety thing of putting the left side of the tool rest down inside the bowl.
Right? Yeah, that post twist that direction, so why not?
No, not that way. You can do it that way. There you go. I put the left side down inside right down into the corner of the bowl. There you go.
I do that sometimes, but to be quite honest with you, this Laguna does not necessarily like to go that direction. That that banjo does not like to go.
Oh, okay.
I've had it come loose on me over there.
Yeah. But anyway, that way you're always right next to it, and you make a shortcut, and then you move the tool rest right across the bottom, and you eliminate all that, no matter what tool you're using.
Right. Good point, Mark. Thank you. One hell of a demo.
Yeah.
Very nice.
A lot of
Yeah.
insight brought out from a simple natural edge bowl, from turning it between centers, adjusting it while we're roughing out the outside shape to get the high spots correctly and get the grain match that Kirk wanted to get, all the way to making a tenon, showing his specialized tinning tool, which AKA special ground Badon / parting tool. Great concepts with the bottom feeders, use and the limitation of the illustrious 40/40 grind, and the limitation there, trying to make the transition with it, going to the traditional bowl gouge, ground at 60 degrees.
Somewhere thereabouts.
Great demo there.
Yes, I mean,
Covered a lot.
the 40, if you've never used the 40/40 gouges, they just flat out, it does not want to cut around the corner. When it hits end grain, it's done. I mean, it will cut very cleanly down the sides, but once it starts to make the curve to where it hits end grain, they just rip things to pieces.
Yeah, it's great for side grain, but side grain only.
Right. So that's what I've tried to tell people. If you're going to get into wood turning, or like, which one should I buy? Then buy the traditional gouge.
Right.
Because it'll
Learn
do
it
it all.
first. Learn your tradition. Learn your regular ground gouges first before you start altering and chasing the illustrious, sensational, whatever grind angle it is. Learn how to use your tools first before you start trying to reprofile them to do something that you don't know how to do to begin with.
Correct.
Very informative. Great demo. Kirk, once again, I appreciate it and thank you, buddy.
Yep.
All right, let's go back to Captain Eddie and see what he thinks about everything.
Well,
Captain Eddie.
thank you so much.
Let me see if I can sum it up one word. Wow. Really, I like what we did tonight on that, and the sharpening of the tools. And some folks are going to say, why doesn't he just use carbide? You saw it, folks. You saw how he put the edge on those, and then when used them, got the right cuts. Where the burr was, where burr wasn't cut, and how we used them. There's no secret to tools except sharp, and you make them sharp, and you control that. And you saw it tonight. Beautiful work. And we didn't see a whole lot of sandpaper. I like that. You know, I'm not against sandpaper, but my belief is that you get a great cut, put the paper away, because you got a great cut. And we saw it tonight. Great tips, great hip, ideas, great technique tonight. And remember, folks, if it happens in your shop, we want you to share it with us and share it with everybody else. We had over 100 people joining us tonight in meeting number 231. Had a good time, shared a lot of folks' ideas and tips and tricks. You all came to our rescue to blend in and help us out when gaps needed filling. I like that part. That's why we have a loose format. Oh, don't forget, if you've got an item for the newsletter, like a photograph or whatever, it only goes to one source now, editor@worldwidewoodturners.org. Pretty simple address, editor@worldwidewoodturners.org. That's where you send your photographs and the articles and everything else you want to have included in the newsletter, right there. Send it to them. If you need you need something put into the newsletter as an article, you need more guidance or know more about information, just put it in the note to editor. He can help you out there too. And if you're looking for a great website, you got to go to the only one for wood turning. I got to stand on the hill and say how it is. worldwidewoodturners.org. Dave does our website for us. It's awesome. That's where all these details are at. If you missed any part of tonight's demonstration, it's going to be on that website in probably a day and a half. Dave catches up. He puts it there. And all the information that's on the chat tonight, that'll be there too. And before you leave the very evening, according to Donald down in Australia, he's in charge of chat retrieval. He said, save the chat. Before you leave tonight, just before you get out the door, save the chat. It'll be on your computer right there. But in 2 or 3 days, it'll be on your computer anyway, because all that goes on that world's greatest website. That's part of what we do. We had a good time. I like this. And I'd like to print the newsletter out and leave it in places where I go. When I go to clinic, bring one along and leave it on the table, because you never know what kind of guy sitting around there. Wow, they can do that? Yeah. And they teach it? Yeah. And they teach it free? Yeah. Or you can't do that. I hear that so many times. You can't do that. Don't you like to kind of shut that argument down with saying, yeah, I did it and I made the tools to do it with it and to do it with.
Captain Eddie.
Yes.
Where can we get a sticker at that like what Kurt had on his headstock?
I don't know where Kurt got his. Let me see. I might have one or two laying around. They're right
Very
here.
Good. Well played. Well played.
I get fussed at because I leave my stuff laying around. We have these stickers available, folks. This is what you saw on Kirk's lathe. Our mission, Dane's mission, is to get one of these on every demonstration lathe in the entire world. And they're 3-inch diameter, self-adhering stickers. They're really nice.
Vinyl.
And this will eliminate catches, grabs, and all kinds of flaws in your turning. It does. And it's got a built-in hormone that does that. 10 of these stickers shipped to you in a regular number 10 envelope. 10 stickers for a cost of $5. That includes the shipping. Now, if you're outside the United States, continental United States, I need to get $1 more for shipping because I got to pay the postage out of this. But that's how we do it. It's 10 stickers for $5. And the address and all that information is on the front page of our website. That's where you get it. And we've still got a couple of thousand of these stickers left. And I have them just about everywhere in the shop. If you wonder where they are, watch our demonstrations. Almost every one of our demonstrators got one sticking someplace. I mean, look, right now, I'm going to pop over, do a share screen and show you something. Here we go. Add a spotlight. Think I'm kidding? Look, there it is right there. See the sticker? That's on the side of Kirk's lathe right now as we're talking. So you see, they're everywhere, just about everywhere. So if you like a sticker like that, just let us know. I'm trying to get, there we go, it's out. And look, if you want to get screen printed t-shirts, pick your shirt. You pick the clothing. you want to have, details on where to send it to. And you send us the shirt plus a package to get it back to you. And we'll look at that shirt. There you go. There's one. Hey, did you get it on the back? Look, there you go. Man, how we gonna look at SWAT this year when we all walk around in them shirts, huh? Shirts, the hats, everything. It's all gonna be there. And if you want it embroidered, Bob Grinstead got the embroidered patterns put on our website for free. Yeah, this might be the only wood turning club in the entire world. Well, it is the only one in the world where money doesn't matter. We don't do it for the buck. Everything you see, everything we do here, there's no bucks involved in it. It's all us guys and gals, and gotta say gals, because we some of the best turners in the world, and some of those best turners in the world are ladies. And we show all this to you, and we share it all with you. No secrets. Don't forget, next Wednesday night is going to be tips and tricks. We're going to sneak into your shop and see what you got hiding in there and what you've been doing. Those little secrets you got. What?
That's right. Tips and tricks next week.
Tips and tricks.
We got a hell of a card on in store for everyone.
Man, this is it. I mean, we're going to look into everybody's shop. You can be part of this. Get your toys. Come on, show us. This is a kind of a challenge as to what do you have up here that some of us are lacking is to you figured it out and we're back. We're running in the second place. Okay, come on. There's more than one runner in this marathon. We all want to be in it. So come on, next Wednesday night. All right. Stick around. I normally bail at around 9 o'clock Central Time. But this continues on because there will be more conversations, more going on, more secrets shared, and more things happening right here. WorldwideWoodTurners.org. Best described as your wood turning club. I'm Captain Eddie. On behalf of all of these folks, they get together each week to do this. Thank you. And please be safe. Save the chat, folks. Save the chat.